So, Season of the Hunt is here, and if I'm being honest, this season doesn't have much to offer me as far as impressions go. Uh, I mentioned first impressions because I want people to know that's the intent and not confuse it with me judging the entire season based off the first week in terms of content. Little side note, I apologize if my voice is a little raspy. I am kind of sick. I had a stomach bug or something, and I didn't really feel good yesterday, and I'm still kind of recovering. So, if you're wondering what the raspy voice is, if you do notice it, that's the explanation. Now back to it. While I do personally enjoy Solar 3.0's re-innovation to the Solar subclass, especially for Hunter, I really enjoy the gimmick and how Bungie embraced the fantasy of being a Wild West gunslinger with synergistic fragments and aspects that really enhance your gunplay, as well as a cool ass dynamite you get to throw. Contrary to what many people want to believe about me, I'm not against the space magic and power fantasy at all, as long as the kits promote high intelligent use. I believe the Solar 3.0 kit for Hunter does just that, as far as PvP is concerned. I can't speak on Titan or Warlock, but from what I heard is that the opposite is true for Titan's Solar 3.0 kit, where there is nothing really synergistic, or the class just doesn't have the flair that Hunters have. And there's a lot of conflicting, I guess, fragments and aspects about it. Uh, Let me know what y'all think, though, for all the Sunbreaker Titan enthusiasts. They really went crazy with the enemy density and the seasonal activity as well as the dungeon, which I personally enjoyed. Seasonal activity gameplay loop might appeal to you if you enjoy explosions and a bunch of bad guys to decimate. I have personally never cared much for the seasonal activities in the gameplay loop, besides Season of the Splicer being an exception, with the expunge mission, seeing as you could speedrun those and get stupid high armor drops with insane stat splits. PvP is more or less the same, except that when you pull out your ghost, you're going to see orange at the top of your screen instead of purple for most of your game, since everyone is messing around with the new solar drip. On the topic of PvP, 66 is still terrible and unplayable as far as general PvP goes. The lobby balancing is so unbelievably, or it feels unbelievably cranked since it's the beginning of the season and there are a ton of new or returning / inexperienced PvP players that are thrown on my team to get farmed. I personally enjoy the new PvP map, not for the sheer size, which it might be a little too big all things considered, but for the layout and the angles and multiple points of interest you want to hold on that map. There are multiple ways to contest middle or grab an angle on a power position. Unlike most D2 maps, the power positions aren't instant win buttons or conditions and can actually be contested. It's a powerful position to hold, but that doesn't mean you automatically win, right? For example, Cubby area in Endless Vale, like Survival or Trials, or the middle cube area on Conversions. Those are examples of power positions that are damn near impossible to contest without getting lucky or having some sort of ability flush people out and disposition people. On this map, a power position is good, but you're not immune to the dangers since there are a multitude and plethora of angles that you can fight. And there are multiple power points of interest, so I really enjoy that. And like I said, we need more like it. I imagine most players aren't going to enjoy the new map because they play it like a Destiny 2 player rather than a general FPS player, so you know how that goes. And lastly, I cannot really say I'm a fan of the new air effectiveness stat. It's hard to build into an adequate enough value for most of my general PvP builds that don't involve an exotic that gives an increase to your air effectiveness. Even with my Peacekeeper SMG build, I'm at 67 air effectiveness stat. My shots are still blooming out and it's really annoying. In concept, it's a great system, but the connection and network model aren't good enough to support this. You could have immaculate aim and your shots will still phase through most players since the connections are wonky. First impressions aside, I suppose, I really want to have a discussion about the state of survival / comp. I know it's like beating a dead horse, but I feel it's important to have discussions, and while I have discussed most of the problems with the state of comp in the past, I feel I need to mention the actual matchmaking system that it has. If I recall correctly, the survival node mentions that it should prioritize similar skill, but I feel that is not the case whatsoever. A lot of people Like, a lot of these cats will argue for skill-based matchmaking, but won't argue for it to properly work in playlists that it belongs in, with survival being one of those playlists. There is no reason I should be able to go roughly 50 games in a row and still counting without losing or having a single close game. I'm somehow almost at a 5 KD for survival this season, and that tells me that this shit is not skill-based, bro. I'm gonna compare this season's comp statistics to my season 3 stats back in year 1. Double primary, no radar, when it wasn't ranked race, but it was hardcore strict skill-based matchmaking. I'm talking matching really good PvP streamers or matching scrim players consistently up until 5500. By the way, this was back on PS4 at the time, so I know my stats are probably inflated, but that's not the point. Look at the win rate difference. I was not going on a 50 streak ever. Even when I decided to try freelance, the lobby balancing makes it that much more apparent that there is no skill-based matchmaking because it's allocating overall negative players on my team when they shouldn't even be in my lobby or matchmaking bracket to begin with. In retrospect, I will say the skill-based parameters were too strict and tight that I would get error code mongoosed out of matchmaking often since it could not find a suitable match for our team. I have already talked about what they could do to bring comp back to life as far as game modes and map rotation goes in the past, so I'm not going to get into it here. Solo quick play honestly feels harder than comp, and that's hilarious to me. How is comp the new chill playlist? Or comp, not even comp, survival. Seeing as glory rating is essentially useless outside of people who care about the unbroken seal, which means nothing now, they should reinforce the skill-based matchmaking parameters and make it more tight, because I find it so boring stomping on noobs or matching solos that shouldn't be anywhere near my lobbies. Destiny is obviously not a competitive game, but who's to say players shouldn't have an environment to play versus similar caliber players for the thrill of good games? If Mario Kart has always had a rank system since the old Nintendo DS days of Mario Kart, then Destiny can have one too. Or maybe I might just be crazy, because, I don't know, most D2 players are just extrinsically motivated. They'll ask, dude, what's the point in playing comp if there's no rewards? Have you ever considered fun? I don't know. That's my little rant about D2 player mindset. But, stop it, to end it, I guess, or come to a close. I've kind of been slacking on videos, so sorry about that. I guess D2 just hasn't really been interesting enough, and I don't know, I've had topics to talk about, but I just never came around to doing it. So in other words, I'm probably just being lazy, or it's a really long way of saying I'm lazy. So sorry about that. As usual, if you made it to the end, thanks, and let me know what you think. Peace out.
What?